Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode for the Coaching Conversations podcast. Now, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and multiple different channels. Please check us out. Now, one of the things that you'll get out of our podcast episodes is a lot of content, a lot of strategy. It's not fluff, it's not concept, yet we really want you to engage with the content and let us know your feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If there's topics you'd love to have us address, we would love to share them with you. Let us know your impact and let us know your feedback. Another great technique to help career-based coaching get off on the right foot is something called whiteboard coaching. If you have a piece of paper, write down 3 columns. Column 1, column 2, column 3 on a sheet of paper, preferably landscape. Column 1 is your present state. Now, if you're doing this for yourself, or let's say you're coaching someone, you would ask the questions. And there are really 5 basic questions for columns 1 and 3. So let's start with column 1. That's your present state. I would ask you, what do you love about what you're doing? What do you like about what you're doing? What do you dislike about what you're doing? What strengths do you feel like you have as it relates to what you're personally doing or presently doing right now? And where do you feel like you have opportunities to improve? And you write all those things down. Then you go to your desired state. That is column 3. Notice you skip column 2. There's a reason. When you go to column 3, you're going to ask the question, what's your desired state? What does that next step look like for you? And if somebody says, well, I don't know what that job looks like, well, that's okay, describe it. It's not always something that is so obvious and specific. So what you're really doing is you're having them explore what's that next step. Now, there are 2 forms of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Someone who's intrinsic is motivated within the job. Someone who is extrinsic is somebody who is motivated as it relates to their present job being a catalyst or a stepping stone for something else. And oh, by the way, it's not always a promotion. My friend Julie Winkle Giulioni does a great book called Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go. And she talks a lot about, that in her second book, Promotions Are So Yesterday. And I love that title because we want to promote people, but we got to make sure that's in alignment with what they want. And we as leaders can make that mistake. So again, column 1, present state. What do you love? What do you like? What do you dislike? What are your strengths? What are your opportunities? Then the desired state. What is that? And you get them to describe it as best they can. And then you ask the same questions. What would you love about that? What would you like about that? What would you dislike about that potentially? What strengths do you have for that position or that destination as we sit here today? And what opportunities do you feel like you would need to improve to get there or to land here successfully? You write all those down. Now you've got a picture of columns 1 and 3 written out. Then you go to column 2 and you ask, what actions do we need to take to move towards column 3? And what that does, it's a technique called a psychological interrupt. See, most people just go left to right, which creates laziness or complacency. And it's almost a proofreading technique. It's been said, the way you proofread is to read from right to left, because that's not the way your eye is trained. The same principle applies here. So when you go to column 2 and say, what actions do we need to take? What knowledge do you need? What skills do you need to improve? Behaviorally, where do you feel like you would need more confidence? So we teach something at Progress Coaching called the tiers of learning, knowledge, skill, and behavior. Knowledge is training. Skill, you're going to have to practice with them. Behavioral confidence comes from repetition and practice and positive reinforcement. That's the secret sauce. And what they've also done, which is really cool, is they have co-authored their own change. It's called Whiteboard Coaching. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called coach to you. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.